Normal activity was just work nominally 8 to 6 and then back to the camp for dinner and breakfast before. So they were 10, 12-hour days generally. Sunday afternoons off, I think I mentioned that before, when we typically go down to China Beach or do other things. Worked at drafting and design work, or did preparation of charts for the Admiral to use in briefing of General Westmoreland or any of the visiting brass from Congress. Well, after we no longer berthed on the ship in the harbor on the APAs and we were at Camp Tien Sha, we would usually just grab a bus down to the ferry landing, catch a little ferry across the river, and then walk a couple of blocks to our office at 56 Docklop Street. And there was it was a hub of activity. There was a local market, a theater next door, and lots of people going up and down the street. And being Navy guys, we were able to work out a good exchange rate where we could swap a case of steaks for a case of booze with the Army. Yet, in the Navy, we could swap a bottle of booze for a case of steaks. So once we did this, we always had booze and steaks. So if we wanted to have a party in our compound in town, periodically we'd start grilling steaks and have the drinks. This is again after 6 o'clock and with permission when we're allowed to stay there a little later. But it takes the edge off. On a few occasions we would pick up food on the street at little places near where our office was. And I like to experiment. I like obviously grown up in Southern California, you like food that's got a little spice. So I tried different things. One I didn't know until after I tasted a little fried rice. Wound out it was dog fried rice. I did not know before that, but it tasted okay. They also have a sauce that they make from decaying fish called nuoc wam. And then the solids, I believe, were called nuoc min or something. But they're used to flavor food and put on rice, and that adds something a little different. One of the things that we did while we were there is they did a track meet in Da Nang for the different units that were around that area. So I had run track in high school, so I competed for that, and I did a high jump. And I clear the bar, I don't know, it must have been 6 feet, something like that. And I'm about to get up, and this guy standing next to the pit says, "Nice jump, son." And I look up, and yes, sir, it's General Westmoreland. So that was an interesting experience. Another atypical experience I think I had was one time I had one of the chaplains for the Navy that was in Da Nang asked to meet with me, and he took me up. We went up on the top of Monkey Mountain up above Camp Tien Sha. This was on a Sunday. He was chatting about things and wanted to get to know me because he had seen on my card I'd registered as Episcopalian, so he wanted to find out another Episcopalian. And he just decided, I developed a friendship with him, and on several times I'd go out and assist him in serving communion to the troops outside of downtown Da Nang. So you don't normally think of religious service in a war zone, but that's a memory. It's an important memory. The Vietnam War was the first of what I'd call a living room war, where video images are actually brought into your nightly newscast. It didn't happen in Korea, it didn't happen in World War II or any other military incursion because it was new technology at the time. My folks sent me clippings in almost every letter they sent, typically from the Los Angeles Times. And from my reading of those and even sharing them with fellows in the same area with me, we could not understand what stories they were trying to tell because we didn't see any semblance of reality. They had it was as if they were writing fiction at a bar in Saigon and were nowhere near Da Nang, because there were things they were reporting as going on that none of us had ever heard about, even things in the city. So we wonder what was the portrayal of the war that was being presented through the media. We took off from Da Nang on a stretch DC-8 with no intermediate cabins, so it was just one long plane, 6 seats wide. When we Wheels up off the airbase in Da Nang, there was a slight cheer. When we cleared the coast, there was a slightly louder cheer. I don't think there was another sound until we touched down at Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino. And that was a strange flight, going for so many hours. I think it was 13, 14, 15 hours, nonstop. And then nobody saying anything. So when we land, when we got off, we all debarked based on rank, and I'm a petty officer, so I'm one of the last ones off the plane. One of the first things I did is just knelt down and kissed the ground. I'm glad to be home.